Question number 6. Minga designed a rectangular garden PQRS as shown in the diagram. It is given that section PT is equal to HQ. So meaning, can I show you? PT is equal to HQ is equal to X. Can I just mark that in red for you? Okay. So PT, that's X, and HQ, I'm going to, so that is X and that is X, okay. But it's also on the picture like that. It's almost like the little corners there. The area of the garden, okay, the area of the garden is 150 meters square. Show that. That is how you come to a quadratic equation. Okay, but let's just go to the textbook and look at a few examples that can maybe help you there. Okay, so question number 6. Okay. Now, don't forget, although that I'm going to put the expression now, but this is in terms of algebra, which they mean. I find this on page 152. This is chapter 4, problems solved by quadratic equations, and example 35. Okay. So the area of a rectangle is 45 centimeters. So in this case, they also give you the area. Do you see? Okay, area is 45. And one of its sides is 4 centimeters longer than the other side. So the one that they refer to, make that x. So if it's longer, the other one, then it's x plus 4. Then I know that the area of a rectangle is length times breadth. So I just do substitution. I put in the 45, I put in the two sides, I solve, I see it's a quadratic equation, I take everything to one side. Now I can solve quadratic equations by either factorize them, or use the formula, or completing the square. I just wanted to show. But then remember, most of the times there will be two values. Yes, it's quadratic. And then one will not be applicable. Now, you cannot get negative distance. You cannot say, oh, this wall is negative 9 meters. You didn't measure it in the other direction. So sorry. So this one is then non-applicable. Okay, so you reject that one. And the value of x is 5. And then that means that is 5. And that's 5 plus 4, which is then 9. Okay. I wanted to show you that one. And then I also wanted you to show you, I'll show you this one. This was now completed by factorization. The other one I want to show you, and I'm quickly going to look, so it's still here. Okay, this is now actually another figure. Okay, this is a triangle, but the reason why I'm showing you this one, this is on page 153, I think it's just the next page, and why it's also equations. Now, this is also a very typical one they like asking, a triangle, and then they say in a right angle triangle, one side is 2 centimeters longer than the hypotenuse. So the one they refer to, make that one x. So the one side is 2 centimeters shorter. So then it's x minus 2. The other side is 3 centimeters shorter, then it's x minus 3. Than the hypotenuse. Find the length of the hypotenuse. So then I work with Pythagoras Theorem, meaning the hypotenuse square is equal to this side square plus this side square. And then I again take everything, I multiply the brackets out, take everything to one side. But the reason why I'm showing you this one is to say all the formulas cannot always factorize. And usually you can go to completing the square, but the one that we will usually go into then is this, using this formula, the quadratic equation formula. So minus b plus minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Also one of the formulas, it's very important to memorize it. Okay, and then I basically just substitute in the place, this is a is 1, b is negative 10, c is 13, and I just substitute. And again, I can put in the values, and if I see that this one, if I substitute, then I get a negative, so I reject that one, and I just take that answer, and I get my answer. Okay, so with all that in mind, I'm going to go back to the sum, and we're going to conquer it. Okay, so let's just see. Okay. Now, the first thing that you have to do is you just have to find the two sides. Now, just think, what will be this side and what will be this side? Now, this is 15 plus the little bit, x. Then it's going to be 15 plus x. This is 4 plus the little bit x, so it's 4 plus x. And that was a very crucial step, that you just had to see it in terms of algebra. Okay, and I think that's what they mentioned in the beginning of the report, is that students struggle to put something like a side in terms of algebra. You don't know x. If they say x is 2, then you will say 15 plus 2. 4 plus 2. So, but if you don't know, you put it x, and then it's unlike terms, and you just leave it like that. Okay. And now I can start. They say, Mega designs a rectangular, and then they say the area. So I know the area of a rectangle equals length times breadth. Okay, and then the length is 15 plus x. And the breadth is 4 plus x. And you're just going to multiply that out. Okay, I forgot. I also have the area. I put it in. So I'm going to say 15 times 4, that is 60. 15 times x is 15x. 4 times x is 4x. And x times x is x squared. Now, because this is positive, I leave it on this side and I take this 50 over. So let's just make a 0. You can even put it here, say negative 150 plus 60 plus, this is like terms, so that will be 19x plus x squared. Now I'm just going to rearrange a little bit. So put the x squared because it's easier to use the formula then, and then put the 19x, and then negative 150 plus 60 is going to be negative 90. Oh, but it seems to me, show that. Okay, so I think because they said show that, I can now just take it back. But I'll show you now also what you could have done. So I take it back. So 90 is equal to x squared plus 19x. Or can I just show you in this step? And I think that's why they put it there. So in this step, I could have said 150 and I could have taken the 60 over. And then 15 plus, it's going to be 19x plus x squared. And then I could have just arranged the sides. So I got the 90 there, and I got the x squared, and I got the 19x. And I swapped the sides around, and I got x squared plus 19x equals 90. Okay, so it doesn't matter as long as you establish that. Because what are they going to give you marks? They're going to give you marks for putting it in there. Okay, that's very important. And then, as soon as you multiply the brackets correctly out, I think there, and if you come to that establishment there. Okay, but now these questions. Now it happens a lot. Maybe you could not get this picture, and you struggled there. You could not get A correct. That is the reason why they give you the formula in A, because they don't want you also to have B incorrect. So if they say find the value of X, you go directly to B. Even if you couldn't establish it, you write their B, their A down. Okay, I put it first like that. You see, it's a quadratic. You say, oh, quadratic equations. I know. I must take everything to one side. Okay, and that's what I did there. Take everything to one side and I put it equal to 0. Now, as soon as they say correct to 3 significant figures, or they say to 2 decimal places, you must already know, sorry, you're going to solve it with the formula. It's not going to factorize. It's either the formula or completing the square. But again, I want to take you to that. I think I showed you now, but I will take you also to where where we solved quadratic equations by the formula. And that's page 148. I'll take you there. There it is. It's an equation, so it's page 148. It's chapter 4, and I'm going to just show you example 29. Okay, so look there. There is my quadratic equation, almost like that, and I brought the 4 used out. Now, in this case, they just said 2 decimal places. Okay, but it's, now I say significant figures. You do as the question tells you. Okay, so then I just showed you there, and I showed you, and I will make it even more color. This is A, this is B, and this is C. Okay, and then you basically just substitute. So it's going to be negative, and in the place of B, you put -6, and plus minus, and then B squared minus 4A, and then C over 2A. And then you simplify 36, and then 16, and this. And if you come to this step here, then you use your calculator. Now, I use it for the one. I use 6 plus square root 52, press that equal. Divide 2, and you get 2 decimal. 6 minus square root 50, press the equal. Otherwise, it will do the division first. Or you can put a bracket. Then you can say bracket 6 minus square root 52, close the bracket, divide 2 equals, and then you get your 2 answers. Okay, and just for the interesting, the graph will look like this. If you make it an equation, okay, a quadratic equation, that means, because it's so important in maths that you know what you're busy doing. So it means it's the 2 places where this graph, and I'm going to use it later in the question paper also, cut the x-axis. So as soon as you go and you put in the place of y, because in the place of y, where it cuts the x, okay, let's rather do it like this. Where it cuts the x-axis, you always make y 0. Where it cuts the y-axis, you make x 0. So this is cut. So in the place of y, you put then that 0. Because you want to see where it cuts the x-axis. And then you actually were ending up with that, and you solve, and you got your 2 positions. Okay. And they call it also the roots of the equation, where it cuts the x-axis. Or the solutions of the equation. Let's just go back to the question paper. Okay. No, it's still a little bit back. Okay, here it is. So basically, I'm going to just solve this now. Now, I just want to show you, let's just get my pen working. This is A, this is B, and this is C. And very, very important, you must memorize this formula. Don't be lazy, you can do it. As I said, you memorize a lot of things in biology, in history, geography, all the learning subjects. Okay, they're not going to give you marks for this. They will give you marks as soon as you substitute it. So as soon as you put the negative in, you know I do substitution in brackets. So in the place, you put 19. Plus minus. And then in the place of B, I put 19 squared. Minus 4, in the place of A, 1. In the place of C, negative 90. And that's over 2A. Now, just for doing this step, let me just get that pen, you will already get 1 mark. So please, just memorize that formula. Okay, and now I just simplify. So it's negative 19 plus minus, and now it's going to be 361 plus 360, okay, and that is going to be over 2. And if and this would have been nice if I continue. But say you come to a point and you want to just continue, I think they will just follow you, don't worry. So x is going to be negative 19 plus minus, and now if I add that to 721, and that's going to be over 2. Okay, now you're going to take your calculator. So take your calculator and press negative 19 plus square root 721 equals divide 2. Now remember what they said. They want you to write down the full calculator display first. So if I write the full calculator, I get 3.925721 582. So if I approximate to 3, 1, 2, 3, that 5 makes it a 3, so it's 3.93. So I already know x is 3.93, or x is, okay, now I'm going to do the other one. So take again your calculator, and now I'm going to press on my calculator. X is equal to negative 19 minus square root 721 over 2. Okay, so you're going to press on your calculator now. Negative 19 minus square root 721 equals, divide 2 equals. And I get or x equals negative 22.9257158. But, although negative 22.9, don't forget, this was part of a practical question. So, if I ask you, what was this little distance? Distance can only be positive. So, I'm going to scratch that. You see? So, that's what they say. If you want something, you could just go and you scratch that. There's not an or. That is your answer. This answer you are going to reject. Why? Because the distance cannot be negative. And that will be the only solution. But work out both, and then just don't forget, if it was just a normal and it was not in terms of a practical example, you would have wrote both answers. Okay, so then they would have say in the question paper, where would they give you the mark? They would have gave you the mark. So there's M1 for this, substitute in the correct formula, and then to get 3.93. Okay, so it was there, and then I just want to say, yeah, it's almost like you get 2 for this coming to that point, or let's more rather say, if you at least come to that point, and then for the final, that's the third one. Okay, and that's how you do it. Not that difficult. But I think that's what they meant. Students also struggle because it's in terms of algebra. Okay, let's go to the next question. Question 7. And if I just look at the question, remember what I said? If there's one column, it's vectors. If you see 2 columns, it's matrices. Okay, and again, I want to take you first back to the textbook and just refresh your memory. So now check, this is multiplication of 2 matrices. Luckily it's a 2 by 2, 2 by 2. Okay, and this is the inverse, but let's start there. I'm going to take you back, and I'm going to take you to question 7. Okay, let's just refresh your memory on this. This is in book 2, part 2. This is page 563, and it's question number 8. Okay, I'm doing, this is in matrices, but there's vectors is in there, transformation geometry is also in there. Okay, now I tried really to show you, to highlight to you how we multiply. So it's given that P, then they give you P and they give you Q. Okay, but at the end, I'm just going to do one, PQ. Let's just find PQ. Now, it's very important that you first just write it next to each other. This P, and the order is very, very important. So first P, then Q. Now, what I showed you with the colors here is that you will always take a row and multiply it with a column. That's what I showed you there. Okay. Then you will take this row again, and then you multiply it with that column. There's the row, that column, and you will write it in that position. So meaning there will be an answer, there will be an answer. And then you will take this row and then multiply with the first column again. So that row with the first column, and you write the answer there. Okay, so I will show you now how to multiply. And then the final one, I will write this row with this column, this row with this column, and I will get an answer there. Okay, now basically it works like this. I take the first and I multiply it with the first there. So -1 times 0. That's what I did. And then I take the second one in the row with the second one in the column. 7 times 3. Okay. And I keep on doing that. So the first one with the first one. So -1 times -8. Plus, very important. Plus is in between. And then the second one times the second one. Okay. And then the same here. First times first plus second times second. And then the same there. First times first plus second times second. Okay, and now I basically just do everything. So this is going to be 0 and this is 21 and that's why I got the 21 there. And then this one is going to be 8, okay, and remember 8 minus 28 and that's going to be -20. And this is going to be, here's the yellow, this is going to be 0 plus 50, so it's going to be 15. Let's just mark it there. And this is going to be -16, -20, and that's -36, and that's how you do it. So it's a bit challenging that you look on this level and you add on this level and you multiply and you add, but it just takes practice. It's just a recipe and you keep doing the recipe. It's like making that difficult move in soccer, tennis, but later on you conquer it. Okay, so that was on page, can I just give you, page 563, part 2. Okay, let's go back to the question. So if I go back to the question, here it is. Okay, so AC. Now, as I said, I prefer that we write it next to each other, and then I'm just going to do all the calculations. And then it's -10 and 8 and 3 and -1. Okay, and we're going to start. Now, remember, it's this one. Okay, we can maybe take just a color there at least. This one with this one. So it's going to be 2 times -10 plus 3 times 8. Okay, so that's for the first. And then I go to this one, and it's going to be 2 times 3, okay, plus 3 times -1. Okay. And then I'm going to the next. So now it's this one with this one. So it's going to be -2 times -10, -2 times -10 plus 0 times 8, 0 times 8. You can write it down because then you can check where you made your mistake. And then the final one, it's going to this one. And then this one will be -2 times 3 plus 0 times -1. Okay, and if I can show you, so this is going to become an answer, this is an answer, this is an answer, this is an answer. Okay, so what will I get here? I will get, okay, I'm just going to put another step in, so I get -20 plus 24. What do I get here? I get 6 plus -3. 6 minus 3. What do I get here? 20 plus 0. What do I get here? -6 plus 0. Okay, and now I just simplify. I get 4, I get 20, I get 3, and I get -6. So my answer is going to be 4, 20, 3, and -6. I'm going to read to you how they're going to mark it. They say they give you 1 mark for any 2 correct entries. So if only 2 is correct, then you will get 1 mark. So they will check the position. So for every, you have to have 2 positions correct to get 1 mark, 2 positions to get 1 mark. Okay, I say this again, it's a recipe. Go and just practice this bit more difficult move. Okay, then I go to number B, that's the inverse. We did it also in the previous question, last year's question paper. So let's just go back to documents and let's just see, that was question number 7B. Okay, and I just want to show you here. And here I did an example, so I think I do a little bit another page than I did previously. So it's on page 568, part 2, book 2, grade 10-11, y equals mx plus c. Okay, and I'm just going to do it here. I'm just going to do 1, finding that inverse, number 11. Now the first, what I said to you, I said it in 1. I said if it's vectors and they do this little bars, then it's magnitude. But if it's matrices and they do this bars, it's the determinant. So I must first find the determinant. Now, how do I find the determinant? I cross multiply like this, okay? And then I subtract and I cross multiply like this. So I say 0 times -2, do you see? Subtract -6 times -4. That's my determinant. That is P. Okay. Then what do? I'm just going to again clean it that you can see better. Then I do this. I interchange this 2. So I write -2 there at the 0 and at the -2 I 0. So did you see? I changed that 2 around. So that positions. Then what do I do with this positions? I change the sign. So this is a positive and this is a positive 4. I just change. I don't change the numbers. I just change it to a positive to a positive. And then I simplify and I got this. This is my determinant, -24. It's 1 over the determinant. Very important. It was 1 over the determinant of P. And then I just take it as a scalar and I times, and I just write my final. And it's really not difficult. It's, according to me, easier than multiplication of matrices. Okay. Let's go again to the question paper and let's just do it. Okay. As I said, I always like to write it just to bring the information down. So I'm going to write C. Okay, so C is equal to -10, 8, 3, -1. Okay. So what you can do is you can first find the determinant. Okay. So can you remember, you say -10, you take this 2, multiply -1, subtract 8, multiply 3. Okay, and that is going to give you 10 minus 24. And that's going to give you -14. You're going to get already a mark for that. Okay, then I go and I say, okay, to find the inverse, now remember this is the inverse, I'm just going to say 1 over that determinant. And then this is very easy. You swap these positions. So you write -1 there and -10 there. You just swap. Take it as it is and just interchange it. And then you change this once, just the sign. If it's negative, make it positive. And in this case, positive, so make it negative. And then you're just going to net this. You're going to get positive 1 over 14. You're going to get positive 8 over 14. You get positive 3 over 14. And you get positive 10 over 14. And you can now go and simplify it in the final position. So you don't have to write the positives. So it's 1 over 14. 3 over 14, that can also not simplify, but this can, because you can divide 2 on top bottom. So it's going to be 4 over 7. Otherwise, press on your calculator 8 ABC 14 and the calculator will do it. And there you divide by 2 top, divide by 2, so it's 5 over 7. And that is your answer. And what are you going to get marks for? As I said, for just getting the determinant. And then you're going to get B1 for seeing if they saw that. And then if they saw that you just did this interchanging, and then if you multiply it incorrectly. Oh, no, it's only 2 marks. Sorry. So, no, it seems to need not for that interchanging. Can I just show you? Definitely not there. If they saw, if they were, if you were putting it, the determinant also, yes, you will get, but then you must put 1 over the determinant, and then the final step. So say or. So or they will give you for just stopping there, or this one, because it's just 2 marks.